und hat 2 Zertifizierungen im Bereich MongoDB, verfügt über 8 Jahre Erfahrung. Dann können Sie das tun über unser Chatfenster. Wir werden dann die Fragen sammeln und sie am Ende beantworten. Jetzt darf ich das Wort übergeben an den Kollegen Neil Harwani. Neil, please take over and start with the webinar.
Good afternoon, good evening to everybody. My name is Neil Harwani and Ralph did introduce me. I work in the pre-sales department and I'm going to take you through the Big Data Portal webinar using Liferay and MongoDB. What is the agenda for today? We would be going through the Big Data Portal as an overview. We will see what all details for this portal are available in the deck, and we would discuss all those. We would also go through the Liferay and portals as an overview. We would go through the key challenges with content and RDBMS in the current systems. Post that, we will look at MongoDB and we will see an overview of MongoDB and how it is solving the problems around content and RDBMS for us. Post this, we will look at what are the key areas in Liferay and MongoDB which are providing, a good power to the customer and to the users, based on which we have proposed and built a big data portal, and we will end with the solution details. Now, when we speak of a big data portal, what is a big data portal? A big data portal is basically a web-based solution that combines both sides of the world, whether it is Liferay, the portal side, which has a rich user interface, collaboration, secure access, and all the other features related to the portal, or a centralized secure data storage, whether in terms of NoSQL or in terms of a file system for storing a lot of scalable files. That side is provided by MongoDB. So a combination of Liferay portal and MongoDB NoSQL plus big data environment is what builds a big data portal. We can store variety of files here. It could be audio files, it could be video files, it could be images, it could be documents, and obviously metadata around these documents. It can scale up to a very high number. So that's another thing that is possible. Now, what are the key challenges with content in today's world? The three major areas that we look and we find that customers are facing challenges around is basically around variety of content. Content could be structured, it could be semi-structured. Volume of content, so we have already crossed megabytes, gigabytes, and we are looking at petabytes and even larger amounts of data. Third is the centralization of content. So when you combine these three problems together, whether it is structured and unstructured data management, whether it is the large volume of documents or content that is required to be managed, or it is a centralized repository, in all those cases, a big data portal can come to your rescue as a solution. Now, what are the technical limitations of RDBMS? If we have discussed the three challenges that we had around content, and now we will look at how do the traditional RDBMSs, as in the relational database management systems, how is it that they are not able to scale up or work for the solutions currently. So, support is restricted to terabytes. And important point here to note is, even if we need to reach terabytes of storage for a traditional RDBMS, it needs to be scaled with very powerful hardware. So support is obviously non-existent for petabytes and exabytes. That is where the big data portal comes in. It can scale up to petabytes of information. Many portals are running in the world which are in the background pulling data from very large scale storage. Now, typical RDBMS has support only for structured data. So when we look at the world around us, the content is not actually structured. Whenever we store data in RDBMS, we normalize it and then we store it in the database. Typically, we go up to third normal form or even more, depending on the type of system. Now, that is not always a preferable approach. So again, when we look at MongoDB or other big data systems, the system can store data which is semi-structured or unstructured as is. So that kind of support is available in a typical big data portal. RDBMS doesn't scale up inherently. Now this point is also interesting. Scaling up for a typical RDBMS is a tedious task because you need to have very powerful hardware. But with a big data environment, we can scale very easily. We can use commodity hardware like quad core and other things, and we can do the work. Similarly, partitioning is an issue in RDBMS. Partitioning is difficult in terms of making the clusters, then partitioning and others. It is very easy in terms of a big data environment or a big data portal. Even very large files can be easily stored in the big data environment. Now, another issue is simultaneous read and write. These kind of problems are also resolved in big data environment. And as I had already discussed, cost-effective quad-core or similar type of a commodity hardware can be used in a big data environment. If we look at the business limitations of a typical RDBMS, based on the challenges that we discussed in the last two slides, technical limitations and the others, we can discuss some of the issues. Productivity decreases as the amount of data and time passes in a typical RDBMS, and cost of database increases. How does that happen? Scaling is not horizontal in a typical RDBMS. It is typically very vertical. So you need to add more and more cores, you need more powerful servers, you need to do very complex clustering. All these things add to the cost of a database. It also requires very costly SAN, storage area networks, and productivity decreases. The reason being, a lot of semi-structured, unstructured, and polymorphic data is available which is not supported. It needs to be normalized, then entered into the system. Additional layers of caching, ORM, message queue get added on top of database. So as time passes, the productivity decreases. The reason being, more complex environment, more knowledgeable people are needed. So those kind of challenges keep happening. Now, what is MongoDB? Our solution is basically a portal plus a big data combination, what we call as a big data portal. The backend for it is built on top of MongoDB. So MongoDB is a high performance NoSQL database. It is highly scalable. Why do we call it NoSQL? Because it is not a typical RDBMS or a SQL database. It has a schema-less JSON document type of storage. So you do not need to follow a typical structure as in a database for storing anything. It is very fast as it is written in C++. It has a very supportive environment. It has support for replication, sharding, high availability. You can even index the database on most of the fields, even though it is a schema-less database. So this is a very interesting feature. In spite of being schema-less, we can go ahead and index MongoDB. It has its own query language. Now, that's the backend of the solution that we are proposing. The front end is Liferay, and Liferay is an enterprise web platform for building business solutions. Now, what it is basically it is the leading open source portal in the IT environment right now. It features in the leaders area in the Gartner's Magic Quadrant for horizontal portals. It has 4 million plus downloads. It has a very vibrant and strong community. It's built using Java, and it is pretty lightweight. It is one portal which can satisfy various business needs, whether it is for a web publishing environment, whether it is a shared workspace, whether it is document management or collaboration, or an enterprise portal, or even social networking. So all of these features and much more come in from the Liferay side into the solution. So summing it up, Liferay plus MongoDB together, Liferay in the front end with its strong, rich UI and secure access, search, versioning on the documents and other features, and MongoDB at the back end provide a very scalable solution. Now, what are the areas that are available to us from both of these? MongoDB at the back end provides us structured and unstructured data support. It is highly scalable. It has a very reliable data storage. It has a very flexible schema, and we can very easily do development on top of it. Liferay, whereas, provides the front end in which we have support something like a browser, a Chrome, or whether it is access through various apps in smartphones or tablets. Both of these features are supported by Liferay. Both of them, there is an API available for building applications in iOS or Android for Liferay, and also support for responsive UI in Liferay for viewing the systems through smartphone or a tablet. So that's our solution. We have a connector which we use for connecting Liferay with the backend MongoDB. Now, some of the benefits as to why did we select these systems. Why did we select these two systems to integrate and have a big data portal together? So MongoDB goes one step ahead of the default Liferay and other systems. It provides scalability, it provides cost effectiveness, it provides agility in terms of performance and other things, and it also provides large object storage and centralized data management. Now, what are these areas? In terms of scalability, we can very easily add nodes for MongoDB as we go ahead. It's very easy to add. All those could be commodity hardware. You do not need generally very intensive and costly environments like SANs. All high-end environments can be avoided. Development is much faster because of the decreased complexity, and large data storage support is also available. So many people look at MongoDB only as a NoSQL database which can store metadata in a schemaless format or like a table. But MongoDB is much more than that. By using a feature of GridFS, we can also go ahead and store documents in it. So GridFS provides us features to store images, videos, and audios. So these kind of things can also be stored, and it can act as a centralized repository for it. And how does the Liferay enhance MongoDB side? It provides a very good rich front end. It provides secure view. It provides mobile interface as I had discussed. It provides a very flexible architecture and a lean platform. Now, what are these areas? So whether you look at a rich front end, you have very good navigation, menu bars, tabs. You have good page and theme support. So you have a mobile theme, you have a desktop theme, and all these things are possible. Many gadgets and portlets are inbuilt. So in Liferay, we have more than 60 out-of-the-box portlets or applications which are available, and we can reuse them. So whether you look at collaboration or document management or publishing, WCM, and many others, message boards, all these things are available by default with Liferay. When you speak of secure access, we have role-based and site-based access available in Liferay, which by default sits on top of MongoDB. So that's a very good enhancement. Things can integrate with LDAP or Active Directory. In terms of mobile integration, API is available, as I said, for building our own applications on iOS or Android. Also, different types of themes for mobile, smartphones, and tablets are available, which are built using HTML5 and CSS3. So they are very contemporary and modern in terms of the design. Liferay is an open system, so it's built on open standards. It has web services integration possible. It has integration using ESB, which is possible. It can support SOA architecture. So all these things are possible with Liferay. That's how it adds value on top of MongoDB. Now let's look at the solution details for the Big Data Portal. So one of the places where we used Big Data Portal was in building a news site internally for CIGNEX Datamatics. We stored more than 1 million content files for creation of this site as a demo. It was scalable. It's scalable up to hundreds of millions. There are more than 100 MB files stored in the GridFS for videos. So those big files are stored. This news portal was used as a place where we could have news articles, archives, videos, images, and other things. It provided an environment for authors to add and retrieve documents, to delete them, update them. Administrators could configure fine-grained access to these sites. Workflow support was there. So that's one of the places where we have implemented the Big Data Portal. Now looking at the technical details behind this solution, what we have basically done is we have used the Mongo wire protocol, and in Liferay we have customized the document library portlet. We are using the document library services and accessing the MongoDB store. MongoDB obviously has its own replica sets which are available in terms of the cluster. Now all the metadata on the Liferay side is stored in MySQL, indexing is done in Lucid. We can have the Solar search also here, but basically the document library portlet accesses all the documents from MongoDB store. So that's what we had built in terms of the solution. We used Liferay 6.1 and MongoDB for 64-bit processors on Intel platform. We used the internal APIs in Liferay core. Server obviously needed to be started, and some of the files that we needed to be, which we changed, were basically portal.properties and portal extension properties. We added references to the various implementation classes and MongoDB hosts in this. We customized basically the document library portlet as I had discussed. We have built our own implementation on top of doc library. We called it the MongoDB file system store. There is a connector which we have used and built. It's basically a Java driver, and it gives us access to the GridFS API to store large files. As I had discussed, GridFS, it's a method of storing large files onto MongoDB. It efficiently stores large files. What it does is basically it breaks the bigger files into smaller chunks and then duplicates them and stores over the various commodity hardware nodes that are available. So there are two areas. One is the actual file and the other are the chunks. So the file side has the metadata, and the chunks contain the actual data of the files. So that's how the GridFS works. Now on the design side, as I had earlier discussed, we had the document library which was customized on the Liferay side. We configured many of the files on Liferay side for the properties. We used the wire protocol to build a Java driver, or basically we used the Java driver to build this. We have built an implementation class called MongoDB file system store. It internally uses the MongoDB Java driver and the GridFS Java API, which actually stores and retrieves documents from MongoDB. Now these were the things which were used from Liferay side to upload and download various files through the document library portlet. Now, in summary, MongoDB enables one of the it enables portals for scalability. So what do we mean by that? A typical portal will not scale beyond say 500K, 1 million or maybe more documents. But by adding MongoDB behind a portal, we can have very good scalability and flexibility. Flexibility in terms of a schema-less storage and scalability for very high volumes of content. Liferay has very powerful user interface. It has features around social, mobile, security, and content management, which can be used along with MongoDB for storage. So together, Big Data Portal provides us the lower total cost of ownership and higher return of investment for all the enterprises. What I have done is I have added a couple of slides here showcasing one of the works that we have done. We have built a sentiment analysis portal for a US-based startup. It uses all the standard features for searching posts, users, it follows hashtags, and it can do keywords-based specific monitoring of user accounts. So all this can be done, and that's what we have built for our customer. So that's about the big data portal side of the solution. Now before we end this webinar, I would like to take around 5 to 10 minutes, 5 minutes maybe, on giving you details about CIGNEX Datamatics. CIGNEX Datamatics, as we know, is a subsidiary of Datamatics Global Services Limited. Since 2000, CIGNEX has been building solutions around open source technologies. What it does is it decreases the total cost of ownership and deployment time for IT solutions. CIGNEX has done more than 400 plus implementations. We have 450 plus experts working on open source solutions. We have done 200 plus integrations. We have written 13 books on open source topics around portals, ECM, and many other technologies. We have done 5,000 plus community contributions on the open source area. We have offices across the world. We work in the portal area, content solutions area, and the big data analytics. So if we speak of these areas, portals, we cover Liferay and things like Drupal. On Liferay front, we have a very large community of certified developers. We work in ECM space in Alfresco. In big data, we work with MongoDB and Hadoop. So this is the same slide which I was discussing. Our solutions around portals, content, big data analytics. Basically, we can build intranets, we can build extranets, and we have more than 50 to 100 plus implementations in portals. Around enterprise content management as well, we have big practices around both the areas. In big data analytics, we have been working on Hadoop, MongoDB, and things like Pentaho. We have very good knowledge around Solar Search. Now, if we look at typical open source adoption model, there are 4 areas that we need to look at in terms of open source adoption. So it is if you have an external system and the target audience is external and it is a non-critical system, you can have confidence in open source and you can directly go ahead and do the deployment. But if you have an internal customer and it is non-critical, it is even quicker. It is immediate candidate for migration. You can easily implement the system, you can deploy it, you can test it internally. Whereas when it was external with non-critical, you need to have confidence and slowly go ahead and deploy it. When it is a transactional mission critical system and it is for internal customers, you can slowly expand your open source offerings. You can start with one of the implementations and go ahead and do the implementation for other areas as well. When it is the target audience is external and you have mission critical systems, the approach that we suggest is actually pilot, then do the pilot implementation. So do a smaller implementation for one of the areas and then test it for the other departments, and then finally migrate the whole system. So that's about the open source adoption model that we use in CIGNEX. Now, I would like to also make you aware that there is a roadshow on social, mobile, analytics, and cloud, what we call SMAC, which is the URL for it is given here, germany.cignex.com/launch-event. It's on 8th July, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Frankfurt, and I would request you to register for this roadshow. Ralph, who is also in the call and webinar, would be available to help you in case of any queries. So that's about the webinar today, and I would hand it back to Ralph now.
Yeah, Neil, thanks a lot. Ralph again. We have two questions from the audience, I see. So first question is regarding our customizations to the internal API. Do you expect some issues regarding migration for later versions of Liferay?
Okay. So as I understand the question correctly, the question is around, we had worked on Liferay 6.1 and customized it to work with MongoDB. What would happen in terms of the upgrade path? So in terms of the upgrade path, we had used the earlier API and the core of Liferay in terms of the document library. There have been some changes in the Liferay 6.2 around the architecture and the code base of Liferay. We can redevelop, basically port it to Liferay 6.2 and make it work there as well. Some amount of changes would be required for that, yes.
Okay, thanks. Second question is regarding our MongoDB file system store. It's a doc library, so we have implemented. So would it be available as a plugin to be used by a customer itself, or is it only available as part of our integration services?
It will be available as a part of the integration services, in the sense, the way we have developed it is, we have worked with Liferay and customized its document library to access the Java driver of MongoDB, and we can definitely think of other ways of deploying this solution. It could be probably a plugin or other architecture based on maybe further discussions and the way we need to implement and the requirements of the customer. Currently it is directly connected, but we can look at it.
Okay, fine. Thanks, Neil. So it seems to be there's no more question. So yeah, I think we are through with the webinar today. Neil, from your side, Sayak?
Hi, Ren. Yes.
Okay. So vielen Dank an alle Teilnehmer für die Aufmerksamkeit heute im Webinar. Ich hoffe, es hat Ihnen einiges an Informationen gebracht. Ich möchte auch zum Schluss nochmal auf unsere Roadshow am 8. Juli hinweisen, wie Neil es schon getan hat. Wir erwarten hier spannende Vorträge, auch unsere Partner MuleSoft und MongoDB, und Sie können sich gerne auf unserer Webseite darüber informieren und dann auch gerne anmelden. Wir würden uns freuen, wenn Sie dabei sind. Ansonsten wünschen wir Ihnen einen schönen Nachmittag heute und noch eine erfolgreiche Woche. Ja, vielen Dank und einen schönen Nachmittag.